Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I think this is the first video that I'm filming, if I'm not mistaken, with my new glasses. So I'm gonna try to work out what angle I can film from that doesn't have that horrible like glare on the glasses lens that everyone always gets. It's a huge pet peeve of mine when I film with glasses, but it's just one of those things that glasses wearers have to deal with. The first question I want to answer is one that caught my eye as soon as I saw it among all the other questions, and that is, has being surrounded by another language affected your writing? This is a super interesting question, and it's something that I have thought about before, but not really, I guess, I haven't developed a full answer or really thought through it that much. I do think to a certain extent it has, but I think what it's affected more so is my speaking and the way I talk now, and of course the way I talk will at one point sort of affect the way that I write. And on top of that, I think being around non-native speakers, even when I'm speaking English, if I'm speaking English regularly with people who are not native English speakers, that has also affected the way I speak English and the way I approach English in terms of I use less slang. I think I speak a little more enunciated. I think I'm just generally more thoughtful about my language and how I'm speaking, and I pay attention a lot more to how I express myself and how I want to express a thought. And so of course that's going to affect my writing to some extent as well, because it's affecting my awareness of language, my own language. It's really hard to compare this because if I go back and look at my writing from, let's say 5 years ago, before I really started applying myself with French, before I think my main group of friends became more non-native speakers than native speakers, and if I look at my writing then, that's quite old writing, and my skills in general have developed, I am very happy to say, in 5 years. So my writing has changed for so many reasons, and speaking French and being around French or being around non-native speakers of English, that is just one of many, many, many things that has changed the way that I write and changed the way that I express myself. So it's really hard to compare that just, you know, on that one topic alone or that one aspect alone. So I can't really tell you for certain, but I do think that yes, it has affected my writing in as far as it's made me much more aware of how I'm speaking, how I'm expressing myself. I think a lot more consciously than I think I would have if I'd still been 100% in an English world, reading English books, speaking English, being around people who are native speakers. I think, yeah, I think it has changed. What other language do you want to learn besides the ones you know now? I have answered this before, I believe in a Q&A, but it's been so long, I'm just gonna answer it again. Plus, I don't know if my answer's changed. I think probably what my answer would have been before is German, and that's still very much the sort of, I guess, dream language that I want to start on next, but I've been very, very tempted to start learning Italian. I have an eyelash in my eye just now. Ow! Slight detour. Sorry, this is a problem of having long eyelashes. Anyway, I've been thinking more and more that I might want to learn Italian instead. The main reason I think for this is that, first of all, I have an increasing number of Italian friends and colleagues. And the second is that I am now working within classical music, and Italian is extremely important in classical music. I think it would be very interesting to learn it just for that aspect alone. The reason that I never wanted to learn Italian before, and what is still probably maybe going to be the biggest element in holding me back from learning Italian, is that I know Spanish and French as my two other languages. So not only is it not extremely creative to add Italian on the top of that, then I would speak my native language and 3 Latin languages, so it's not like a lot of variety, but also I'm afraid it's going to mess with my Spanish and my French quite a bit, especially my poor Spanish, which has been put on the back burner since learning French, and already French has affected my Spanish, but I think Italian and Spanish are gonna be even more clashing because I find more similarities in them just from the little bit that I know about the languages. So yeah, there are definitely some very good reasons to learn Italian and some very good reasons not to learn Italian, so I don't know what I'm actually gonna start on. For the moment, I can't really work on anything. I don't wanna add a third language, or I guess a fourth language in this case, to the top of everything else that I'm trying to do. But I probably will start a little bit of Duolingo here and there once I find some pockets of time, maybe if I travel to one of these countries. Maybe that will be the ultimate decider, is where I end up traveling to next, Italy or Germany. How do you balance full-time work with writing your book and social life? I don't. That's the pretty simple answer. I mean, I do to some extent. I don't know that I have fully mastered it. Has anyone fully mastered it though, really? I did make a video about this a while ago, balancing writing with a full-time job, and I think that's probably the biggest struggle for me. YouTube, I kind of have moved to the weekends. That's pretty much when I do most of my YouTube watching, and that's also when I do all my filming and pretty much all of my editing anymore as well. So the weekends are definitely when I work on YouTube, and I kind of don't think about it during the week anymore. Writing is one of the things that I definitely want to make more of a daily habit, and I have made more of a daily habit. Not that I do it every single day, because again, I have not mastered how to do that with everything else. And then of course you have social life, which is definitely the thing that gets sacrificed the most, I would say, but it's also something that's still quite important to make sure that you're not completely scratching off of your list. I guess what I'm really trying to say with all this babbling is that it's sort of a balance of sacrificing one thing, sometimes sacrificing another thing, at other times planning, I guess. I plan for certain weeks to be very intensely focused on writing, for example. If I have a deadline I've set myself that I need to meet, maybe a week will be very heavy, intense writing. I won't do much else in my evenings. And then at other times I have, you know, lots of social things come up, so I make a conscious decision. I'm not gonna be able to work on my book for 2-3 days because I have these other things going on, or if I have a big thing at work that's going on and I cannot dedicate the brain power and the energy to something else right now. So I'm gonna take those 2-3 days off so I can focus on something else. It's really just, I think, making the conscious decision, because I don't feel bad if it's a conscious decision that I'm sacrificing this thing or the other thing for this certain amount of time. But when it happens accidentally is when I think it really affects me, and it makes me upset or sad or lonely if it's the case of social life. The next question is, où avez-vous adopté Hamlet? So where did you adopt Hamlet, who is our cat? I did talk about this quite a bit in the introductory video that I did over a year ago, I believe, when he was still quite tiny. So if you want to see little baby Hamlet, I will link you to that video as well, because it's quite cute. We got him from a family in Paris. So a friend of a friend of a friend knew these people whose cat had gotten pregnant, and they needed to find homes for these kittens. They needed to be adopted out. So that is how we got him. It was a little bit of good timing. I was looking at shelters online. I was looking at a website called 30 Millions d'Amis, and also a website, La Spa, which is really well known in France. And they both have listings from shelters. I was looking quite regularly on those, and that is what we would have done if we hadn't heard about Hamlet needing to be adopted. Do you think people should cherish and explore their own country as well as travel abroad? Yes, yes, yes. Travel is something that's very personal, and I do think that some people are going to be more drawn to exploring places near home or within their home. Other people are going to be drawn to going to the furthest thing away from home. However close to home or far away from home, if it's someplace you want to visit and travel and appreciate, I think that's really great. But I think, especially with me being an expat to some place quite far away from my home, could be further, but it is still pretty far away. I guess it could give the implication that travel and experience and all of that goes with traveling far away, and that's not always the case. There is definitely something to be said for exploring your own country. Depending on your home country, you might find that there's a lot of variety within that one country, or even within the neighboring countries. And that can give you a different perspective. Traveling to someplace super far away and seeing a completely different way of life is really important and very valuable. And I do recommend that everyone do that, whether it's your ultimate dream or whether it's not. I think it's really healthy. But it can offer a different sort of perspective to discover your own country and things you don't know about your own country. Personally, I have traveled to quite a few places in the US, but there's still a ton that I want to explore. And I think the only thing holding me back right now is just the distance of me now living in France. It's not the most convenient, but if and when in the future I do end up living in North America, I will travel more in North America. It's something I absolutely 100% want to do in the future. In addition to going to all those other countries on my bucket list, which are very far away from home. What are your favorite TV series that you've watched? This is so hard to answer. I think like 3-4 years ago, I did a video about my top 10 TV shows or something. And probably a lot of those are still my favorites because some of them are just timeless, forever going to be my favorite, or at least for a very long time. One that I always keep going back to though, and that never seems to get old, is The Office. It's definitely the show that if I'm having an evening where I just need 20 minutes to kill or to get a break from something, or if I'm especially in a not great mood or I didn't have a great day, I just need to laugh. I need something that I have 100% assurance it will make me laugh, it will make me happy. I put on an episode of The Office. If you could pick one fictional character to be friends with, who would it be? This is so difficult. Just one. I think the characters that I like the most in books or series or films tend to be characters who I either think would be a fantastic friend, who I think we would get along great, or who I think I probably kind of hate in real life and that we wouldn't get along at all, but they're super entertaining and I really love their character. I feel like I would either have to go with someone like Luna Lovegood from Harry Potter, who is so interesting and so weird, but would be so fun, and the type of person who I think would, you know, push me out of my comfort zone and who's always up for an adventure, but who isn't too danger-seeking and wouldn't get me into too much trouble like some other characters in Harry Potter. I would say Hermione. I thought about saying Hermione, but I'm actually not sure we would get along in real life. We might actually drive each other crazy. Those are all the questions I'm going to be answering today. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted questions. Definitely let me know in the comments if you prefer this format with Instagram stories, or if you prefer it to be in an Instagram comment. If you don't already follow me on Instagram, that is definitely a great place to find me. I post stories pretty much every day, and I update quite a bit more on Instagram than I am able to on YouTube. The link to my profile is in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.